It has now been confirmed that Rishi Sunak's wife has indeed benefited from the latest budget announcement of Jeremy Hunt, the Chancellor, and even the Parliamentary Commissioner for Standards has now said that, yeah, there has been a conflict of interest, but it seems like corporate media are not really interested in exploring this whoopsie, bit of an accident, complacency. Rishi Sunak promised us integrity, professionalism, and accountability. The Tories said, we are not just bringing back Tory unity, but we are bringing back professional governance. And we're not going to have any more scandals. We're not going to give out empty promises. We're going to just sort out all the mess. I feel like they just created more mess over the last year. No, I don't feel like it's actually happened. So now there's a problem with Rishi Sunak's wife. We've talked about this before. We've also talked about the family links to Infosys and the company, obviously the father of the wife, and links to India and other places. But we're going to get back to that again as well. But in this video, we're going to talk about the Parliamentary Commissioner for Standards, Daniel Greenberg, who eventually, after the investigation, has ruled that the Prime Minister confused declaring his interests as a minister with registering his interests as an MP. So that was the whoopsie. That was the original whoopsie. That apparently Rishi Sunak is such an amateur as a politician, doesn't know the difference between an MP and a minister or prime minister. Now, Greenberg said, in accordance with the code, Ms. Marte's shareholding was a relevant interest that should have been declared during the liaison committee meeting on the 28th of March 2023. Now, this whole saga was about initially the shares that his wife had in it was a childcare company, and the policies that were announced obviously helped the country, but also they benefited from it. Now, you can't really expect anybody who is in a position of power, like Prime Minister or President, for their family members to not have any interest in anything, but you have to declare it. That's the whole point. Now, as far as we know, this was a whoopsie, right? Legally speaking, this was a whoopsie. This was an accident. But it's not a good look. So this was about this budget. Jeremy Hunt announced a budget, a pilot of incentive payments of £600 for child minors joining the profession, a sum that doubles to £1,200 if they sign up through an agency. Asked in the committee if he had any interest to declare when talking about how the policy was formed, the Prime Minister said, "No, all my disclosures are declared in the normal way." There was no mention of any of that. Now, it's one of those like smoking gun situations or smoke without fire, because it might actually have just been innocent in this case. The wife would just have some shares anyway. So it's actually his fault for making her look more of a villain than she might actually be. I'm more interested in the father-in-law's financial positions, Infosys and other places. So Akshata, the wife, Rishi's wife, got almost £6.7 million in Infosys dividends. So now this Indian tech firm, as we've already discussed on this channel, reached £13 million in terms of the income of Rishi Sunak's wife for that financial year, last year. But again, there hasn't been much about it because there hasn't really been any criminal activity around it. Fine. But let's not forget about this. This was in India Today saying Rishi faces conflict of interest row over the India and UK trade deal ahead of the next month. This was obviously before the visit to the G20 summit. The British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak was facing a conflict of interest row over the claims that his family will stand to benefit from the proposed free trade agreement with India. Most of it will go back to the father-in-law and Infosys. And the fact that everybody has a share in everything. But you have to be honest about it. You have to declare it. If you're actually innocent, most of the time, it's just financial greed. We know that. It's not necessarily political conflict, a political scandal. But the more you try to just keep things to yourself, the more you're going to make yourself look like a villain. There's so many questions to be asked about the links between Infosys and other companies, which we've already explored on this channel. There's a lot of other dodgy questions, dodgy things to be answered. But this isn't one of those. Just be honest about your wife's affairs and know the difference between a backbench MP and a minister. That will really help when you are the Prime Minister. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Mahyar Tousi, and we are the media.